You could record for us. Thank you. All right, welcome everybody to Kindergarten's Curriculum Night. We're excited to see you. We will begin with a quick introduction from each teacher, and then we'll jump into academic and social emotional work that we'll be doing this year with your kiddos. So I am Miss Matthews. I am your kindergarten team lead, and I've been here at Westgate this is my 4th year, and I've been teaching for 7 years. And I've actually taught every single year with B. Elwood.
Hi, I'm B. Elwood, and it's true, we've taught together 7 years, 2 different schools, and this is the first year we've been on the same team. This is my first year teaching kindergarten.
And I'm Hannah Greeter. This is my 3rd year at Westgate.
All right, so let's jump right in. We're going to start off with just some friendly reminders. A lot of these are things that you were made aware of at Back to School Night, but I know some of us weren't able to make it, so we wanted to just run through some quick reminders before we jump into academics. So on our first slide, you'll be able to look back at our daily schedule. This is what your kiddo can expect and what we run through every day. And sometimes we have to kind of make fluid adjustments, but for the most part, we really stick to this schedule, and it seems to work well for our kiddos so far. So remember for Carline, make drop off and pick up brief. One of the things you guys can do to support that is to teach your kiddos to open and close the door safely and to buckle and unbuckle themselves and when to do that safely. That will help all of our friends in Carline. I know that you guys are working hard to keep it moving, so keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate your help with that. Also, make sure that we are not talking on our cell phones during Carline. So when you're on school grounds, please put the cell phones down. It keeps our kiddos safe and all of our families safe. We appreciate your help with that. Same for afternoon pickup. All right, snacks. Your kiddos get 2 snacks a day. So please make sure that you pack more is always better than not enough. And we typically recommend some healthy shelf-stable snacks as well as some fresh fruit or vegetables if that's something your kiddo likes. Also, please, please, please pack spill-proof water bottles only. It's really tough during the day when little hands accidentally knock over water bottles. There's a lot of water in those little water bottles, and we end up with wet books and papers and that sort of thing. So if you could help us out by sending spill-proof water bottles, that'd be great. For hot lunch, please remember if you're ordering hot lunch from the school that you need to order lunches the Monday preceding the following week. So if I wanted to order lunches for next week, I would have had to have placed my order this week on Monday. So make sure that you're planning a week in advance. And so for toys, we love show and share, and it's a great thing that we get to do. Please make sure that you're sending 1 toy with your student and only send on their shared day. Unfortunately, we cannot have loveys, stuffies, whoobies, that sort of thing. It will remain in their backpack, and sometimes that can cause some sad kinders. So please make sure that sort of thing just stays at home. And then they'll share and bring out their toy during share time, and then we put it away. And if you're wondering what your kiddo's share day is, email your advocacy teacher and they can let you know what that schedule looks like. Birthdays, we got to celebrate some birthdays already so far this year. You can absolutely send goodie bags or treats with your student. Please make sure though that they are store-bought, individually packaged, and that the ingredients are on the label. For COVID precautions, we cannot hand out cupcakes, we cannot hand out slices of cake or homemade treats. They do have to be store-bought and individually prepackaged. All right, we're going to jump right into academics. All right, needs-based placement.
So one of the nice things about the way that we place students is that interview process that we do at the beginning of the year where the student comes in one-on-one, meets with the teacher, and we do some math assessment and some literacy assessment with them. We don't do a high class or a low class. That's not kind of like how we operate. We're looking at like the personalities of students and how they might best support each other. We're also looking at like background knowledge that kids have already got, so we can pick up the pace or go really deep into topics. We are really focused on like the social emotional aspects of education. And so there's a little bit more information up there for you.
All right. And just to add to that, we want you to know that all kiddos are receiving kindergarten level standards. And I know that we'll dig a little deeper later on in the presentation about how we differentiate for student need with that, but we do want you to know that everybody's receiving kindergarten standards.
So for our gifted education, every child receives access to a gifted education. This may look like faster pace. It may be diving deeper down into explanations and why things, or applying it in different situations. Giving our gifted children's choice really gets them more involved and wanting to dive deeper down.
All right, for literacy, we use a curriculum called Super Kids. You all may have already seen some of these books come home. We've met a few of our friends. We've met Cass and Oswald so far. The first half of our school year, we meet all of the Super Kids, and then the second half of the school year, we get to jump into the Super Kids Club and go on adventures with them. With this program, your students are learning phonics and spelling patterns using the Super Kids curriculum. We also dive into reading and writer's workshop. So that usually looks like a mini lesson with a mentor text. We like to connect what authors and illustrators do into our own writing. And we also like to integrate a modified daily 5 model, which is really just a way of integrating literacy-based standards into centers. So they'll do things like read to self, they'll read with a buddy, they'll work on their writing, and then they'll also meet with the teacher, where we get to meet in small groups or one-on-one and support your kiddos' individual needs. And then we wrap up literacy with snack. You can support your kiddo at home by logging into the Super Kids portal. So you all should have received an email earlier in the school year to go ahead and set up your Super Kids portal at home. If you have not received that, go ahead and email your student's teacher and we can send you that email again. You can read to your child. We recommend about 20 minutes each night. You can also let them read to you. And if your student isn't able to read words just yet, you can talk to them about what they see and observe in the pictures. They can make predictions about what they think may come next. They can find rhyming words, or they can search for letters that they do know. So there's lots of engaging ways that you can read and incorporate books with your kiddos each night.
So this is our first year here at Westgate with the Big Ideas math curriculum. After recess, we come inside, we have a little water break, and we start with some of our math fluency practice. And then we get into these whole group math investigations. We start off the year with like a slower pace, like 0 through 5, and then we do 6 through 10. And I know a lot of kids can already count those and they can already write those numbers, but it's actually to help us establish the routine and the practice of the math curriculum so that they know that when we come in, we do this, and then we go into that, and then we do it like this, so that when we start to have larger numbers and more complex math that we're doing, they're already comfortable with the routine. So after our math investigations, we have independent practice. That's when we'll pull our small groups, and those small groups are also kind of like focused on skill development and pushing kids to go deeper, or helping kids kind of catch up to their classmates. So that's a great time for us to do a lot of that individual work with students one-on-one, and then we go to lunch recess. And a great way to support your kids at home, of course, is like, number one is cooking. It's just a great way to get them involved in like how specific measurement is, and like those numbers, and like using those numbers. Also playing games with kids where they have to like take turns and they have to count the moves that they do. Kindergarten, it's counting 1 through 20, and then it's counting backwards through that. But then it's also counting up to 100, but it's really counting through fluently up to 20 and then back down. So crossing those decades with your kids, going from 18 to 22 really helps them out, kind of develop those counting skills, but also counting backwards is a really big part of that. And then you can practice skip counting, 2s and 5s, 10s. That's really the limit in kindergarten, first grade, like going on. So those are definitely great ways for you to just play and have fun with math with your kids at home.
And then for our social studies and science unit, we alternate throughout the year. So kids will be doing like a 2-week social studies unit, and then they'll do like a 2-week science unit. Some of our units are rules, laws, and authority figures. We just wrapped up with that. And then it's then and now, so looking at how the past is different and similar to the present. Holidays around the world, living things and their habitats. So we're getting kind of surface level so they can dig in deeper as they go throughout their learning careers.
All right, so advocacy and RISE. You guys may have noticed advocacy is a normal thing that we've done here at Westgate. It's one of our strengths. We really focus on the social emotional learning of our kiddos. I know that this was a concern with our students who went through that whole COVID year. They've been at home. And so really focusing on that social emotional learning this year has been really important for us. You might see this during our morning circle, where every kiddo comes into the classroom. They're greeted by their teacher. We gather together as a class in a circle. We might have games that we play. We say good morning. Every child's name is spoken so that they are seen and heard, and they know that they're part of our community. We look forward to, in the future, the possibility of bringing back buddy advocacy. Of course, with COVID precautions, we are, being mindful of cohorting and that sort of thing, but we would love to bring back buddy advocacy in the future, where we get to buddy up with another grade level every once in a while and learn and develop with them some of those social skills. And then RISE is our new way of integrating positive behavior incentives. So RISE is really representative of respect, integrity, safety, and empathy. You may have noticed in our EdLeo updates that our students began the school year learning what each of these words means and how it looks in our community. So how do we demonstrate respect in the bathroom? How do we show integrity on the playground? How do we make safe choices throughout our classroom? How can we lead with empathy? How do our actions and our behaviors impact those around us? And how can we support our community? And really, this was brought into Westgate and developed because we heard parents' feedback last year in the parent survey with really wanting consistent communication and expectations of behavior throughout the school. And so this is one way that we are doing that. You may have seen already that your kiddos have brought home a RISE recognition slip. So we are working hard to really acknowledge and see those kiddos that are working hard to rise to the occasion here at Westgate, demonstrating some of these character traits at our school. And the hope is that the more we reinforce these in a positive way, the more that we'll start to see them grow inside of our classrooms. So I know that it's something our kindergartners really love and celebrate, and they're starting to even call each other out as they see these things in the classroom. So it's really cool to see. And then B, if you want to jump in on environmental ed.
Oh, yes, of course. Oh, I'm sorry. My slideshow didn't update.
You're okay.
So in years past, I did worms for service learning, and we are moving the worms down to kindergarten. We have a brand new habitat for the worms, and it is a lot of fun to be able to when we feed the worms and clean the worm, or really harvest the worm soil, that we take the worms out, we get to look at them, we get to look for eggs, and the kids really, they put on little plastic gloves and they get to really dig into the dirt and look at the worms up close. And I'm really excited to do that with kindergartners this year. And it really does help reinforce like those lessons about like community, because then we get to go out to the garden and we get to share with Miss Valenza the soil that our worms are making as we're learning about that relationship with worms and soil and our gardens, and how it's really an awesome benefit when we all work together.
Awesome. All right, so now we're going to open up to a quick question and answer session. Again, this is our first time really using Teams, so it's a little bit different than what we're used to with Zoom, so be patient with us. I'm going to stop presenting, maybe.